let's talk the next Barbarian subclass, which is now known as the Path of Wild Magic. It was originally known as the Path of Wild Soul in the Unearthed Arcana from back in 2019. This is the famous Unearthed Arcana where I have my head in my hands and I talked about the astral self, and you guys still like to laugh about that being hyperbolic for the sake of it, but here we go. So let's dive in. There were significant changes to this one, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. Let's go take a look. So we get Lingering Magic at level 1, it was called. You could cast Detect Magic without spell slots or material components, Constitution modifier times per, I think, long rest. Or sorry, yeah, Constitution modifier times per long rest. And you faintly glow a color corresponding to the rule of School of Magic you get to choose. That has been replaced with Magic Awareness. As an action, you open your awareness to the presence of concentrated magic. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any spell or magic item within 60 feet that isn't behind total cover. When you sense it, you learn what School of Magic it belongs to, and this is proficiency bonus times per long rest. Now, when I think about this, Detect Magic is a persistent spell that lasts for a period of time. The reason they probably switched it up from Detect Magic is you can't cast spells while you're raging, and I don't think you can even maintain concentration while you're raging. So that's probably why they changed it up from it being a hard-coded spell. The fact, though, that the new version only lasts until the end of your next turn is kind of silly to me. So I don't particularly love that. I think I would have extended the length on it a little bit, but here we are. And then the crux of the class here is the Wild Surge ability. This is sort of a like a wild magic, chaotic class. So this is where it comes into. The proficiency bonuses, the save DCs for things that have DCs are based on your con mod. And when you enter a rage, you roll on the table. So let's take a look and see what we've got. So first up was necrotic energy bursts from you. Each creature within 30 feet of you takes a d10 necrotic damage, and you add temporary hit points equal to the sum of the necrotic damage dealt to the creatures. It is now shadowy tendrils lash out. Each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet must make a con save or take a d12 necrotic damage, and you gain a d12 temporary hit points. Previously, it was just straight up damage, no saving throw, which I think was okay for what it was, but I did have a big problem with it that you could deal a ton of damage to people and get a huge stack of temporary hit points. It is now hard limited to only a d12 temporary hit points regardless of how many people you hit, and they get a con save or no damage. So that one kind of, there maybe there's a middle ground, I don't know. Then we had you teleport up to 20 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Until your rage ends, you can do this every turn as a bonus action. It is now out to 30 feet instead of 20. Then we had you conjure a d4 intangible spirits that look like flumps in an unoccupied space within 30 feet. They immediately fly 30 feet in a random direction. At the end of the turn, they explode, and each creature within 5 feet must make a dex save or take 2d8 force damage. It's now a flump or a pixie. They appear within 5 feet of you, and they within 5 feet of one creature of your choice within 30 feet. At the end of a turn, it explodes. Rather than it just flying off in a random direction, kind of being uncontrollable, it appears, and at the end of the turn, it explodes. Each creature within 5 feet must make a dex save or take a d6 force damage. It used to be 2d8 down to a d6, but now you can do this every turn as a bonus action, whereas before it just happened and it was gone. Now we have at 4, Arcane Energy enshrouds you. Until this rage ends, you get a +2 bonus to AC. When a creature within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack, they take force damage equal to your con mod. It is now magic infuses a weapon of your choice. Until your rage ends, it has types changes to force, has the light and thrown properties, a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet, and it returns to your hand at the end of the turn. 5 was plant life temporarily grows around you. Until your rage ends, the ground within 10 feet of you is difficult terrain. 5 is now whenever a creature hits you with an attack roll before your rage ends, it takes a d6 force damage as magic lashes out in retribution. This sort of adopts part of the stuff from the level 4 option, the arcane option that was here, and just takes the retributive damage here. Then we have Arcane Energy taps into the minds of those around you. Each creature within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom save or see a glimpse of the creature's thoughts. As a result, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you until the start of your next turn. 6 over here is until your rage ends, you have a +1 bonus to AC. And allies within 10 feet also get that, which is pretty nice. And then we also, here's the flowers, one flowers and vines, the temporary difficult terrain that used to be 10 feet around you is now 15 feet, and it's for enemies only. The new 7 here is shadows weave around a weapon of your choice until your rage ends. Oh, okay, this was the other one that we talked about with the throne property. But originally it was psychic damage. It gains the light throne property. If you drop it, it returns to your hand. So now they changed it from psychic damage to force damage. But other than that, that looks to be the same. And lastly, at 8, a beam of brilliant light lances forward from your chest, 5 foot wide, 60 feet long. Each creature in the line must make a con save or take 2d8 radiant damage and be blinded. It is now another creature. It only use one creature of your choice within 30 feet must make a con save or take a d6 radiant damage and be blinded until the start of your next turn. Until your rage ends, you can use this effect on each of your turns as a bonus action. So I like that they've added some of these ones that like happen. You can do this every turn. It's like beam of light every turn. So I think overall, I think this landed in a better spot than it was. Things are definitely more balanced. I like that some of them are persistent effects that you can do every turn. So I think all in all, this was a good idea. Some of them, actually, I really do think for the most part, everything landed on the side of balance or slight buffs. The things that got nerfed were probably never intended to be as powerful as they were. Then we had at level 6 what was called Magic Reserves. As an action, touch a creature and roll a d4. That creature recovers an expended spell slot of a level equal to the number rolled. If the creature you touch can't recover a spell slot of that level and gains temporary hit points instead equal to 5 times the number rolled. You take force damage equal to 5 times the number rolled. And when you reach 14th level, it goes up to a d6. This, I had some problems with. I thought this was a little overpowered because it was unlimited, and the fact that the force damage you took was you could reduce it in various ways. This has been changed, and I don't really like the new option, so let's talk about it. As an action, you can touch a creature and confer one of the following benefits. For 10 minutes, that creature can roll a d3 whenever making an attack roll or ability check and add the number rolled to it. Why? Why a d3? Wizards. Nobody has d3s. You couldn't have just made it a d4? Is a d4 that big of a deal? And they can add a d3 to an attack roll or ability check to possibly swing it a +1 to +3? Why not just make it a d4 and then it's kind of like bless or guidance? Or roll a d3, the creature regains 1 expended spell slot, the level of which is equal to the number rolled or lower. Once a creature benefits from this, they can't do it again until a long rest, and this action, you can do this a number of times, proficiency bonus times per long rest. So what's the difference of at level 6 giving the rolling a d4? I guess that's the difference. If you roll a d4, a 4 on a d4, that's a 4th level spell slot, so you can't technically recover a 4th level slot if you only have 3rd level spells. I guess that might be why. I don't particularly love that. You could just say on a 4 roll again, or on a 4, you get something extra. I don't know. But yeah. Also, I don't know if I would, if you're going to limit it to proficiency bonus times per long rest each time you use it, I don't know if I would have added this once a creature benefits from it. They can't do so again until a long rest. If you're only going to have a minimum 2 to maximum 6 uses of this, I'm okay with it. People being able to benefit more than one time in a long rest. I don't think that that's a big deal. All right, we had Arcane Rebuke originally at level 10. When a creature strikes you, when a creature forces you to make a saving throw while you're raging, you can use your reaction to deal 3d6 force damage to them. It is now called Unstable Backlash. Whenever you're imperiled, immediately after you take damage or fail a saving throw while raging, you can use your reaction to roll on the wild magic table and immediately produce the effect rolled. It replaces your current effect. I kind of like the retributive 3d6 damage, but if you're going to focus so heavily on the magic or the wild surge table, rather, it kind of makes sense to give you access to it more often. So I'm raging, I take damage or I fail a saving throw. I now get to trigger it and then do something cool. Particularly useful If you have one of the ones that doesn't persist, or like doesn't have an active effect, like if you had the one that gives you a D12 temporary hit points and then got one that, I don't know, lets you shoot the beam of light out as an action, that would be a cool switch. And then lastly, we had Chaotic Fury. As a bonus action, you can reroll. You can reroll on the Wild Magic Surge table, replacing your current effect with a new one. And it is now whenever you roll in the Wild Magic Surge table, you can roll the die twice and choose which effects to unleash. If you roll the same number on both dice, you can ignore the number and choose any effect on the table. Previously, it was a full bonus action to use to reroll. Now it's just whenever you do, you roll twice and you pick. That's better overall, I think. So what I'm looking at, Path of the Wild Magic, I think the table was a severe improvement. I don't think the magic awareness should only be until the end of your next turn. I think that should be extended, probably to a minute, to be similar to Detect Magic. Actually, that's less than Detect Magic, but I think it's okay because it's not using a spell slot. Bolstering Magic, again, I would probably just make it a D4 because this top line just doesn't make any sense to me. Adding a D3 to an attack roll or ability check. Unstable Backlash, I kind of like the Arcane Rebuke where you could just deal force damage, but this is giving you more access to the Wild Magic table, which again, if you're playing this class, that's kind of what you want. And then I think Controlled Surge beats out Chaotic Fury in the long run. So that's it, folks, for the Path of the Wild Magic Barbarian. Next up, we're going to be jumping into the Bard, which will be the College of Creation. Once again, if you have not taken a chance to subscribe to the channel, I would encourage you to do so and turn notifications on so that you can stay up to date as I continue to make more Tasha's Cauldron of Everything content. Also, there's a link in the description to win several different copies of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So if you'd like to get a copy for free, take a look at that link in the description and go ahead and go there and sign up. I will see you all next time.